we're halfway through with our legal marketing day at camp, and we still have a lot of marketing wisdom to dish out, namely from our next guest, Andy Stickel, who is the founder of the company Social Firestarter. He does an incredible job of laying out simple solutions for complex marketing problems, and we're incredibly thrilled that he could join us today. So, Andy, thank you for joining us. It's always great to work with you. And so I want to talk about like actions lawyers can take to improve their marketing. But before we dive into what lawyers should do, I want to cover what they shouldn't be doing. And I do this so that people can identify like maybe that they're doing this and like, okay, I need to have this switch. I am the person doing this. So what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see law firms making that can really limit their ability to bring aboard new clients and new customers?
Sure. Well, okay. So the first biggest mistake that I see law firms making is they're talking about themselves and they're not talking about what the client actually wants, right? So nobody cares that you're board certified. Nobody cares that you're Martindale, Hubble, AB rated or anything like that. What they care about is that they have a problem and they need someone to help them get a solution to that problem, right? So if you are not able to solve their problem, they're not going to hire you, right? So a lot of times the problem is not talking about the solution that the client is looking for. That's one of the biggest mistakes that I see. But another one is kind of more of a fundamental way that they even look at marketing in the first place. And I want to kind of show you this. I'm going to draw it on this board here just so I can kind of demonstrate this, right? Because there's really like in marketing, and you probably know this, Nick, there's really 4 stages, right? This is what we call kind of a funnel, right? So there's 4 stages. There's the unaware stage or no problem. This means that the client is either unaware that they have a problem or they don't have a problem yet. So for example, if you're an estate planning attorney, pretty much everybody needs an estate plan or a trust or at least a will, but most people maybe are not even aware that they need that, right? So maybe it's a couple in their 30s and they have a kid and a business and a house and they realize that they don't know that they really should have an estate plan. So they're unaware of the problem, right? Or there's people that just don't have a problem. If you're a criminal defense attorney, maybe the person hasn't gotten arrested yet. Maybe they haven't gotten a DUI. If you're a criminal offense, or if you're a personal injury attorney, maybe they haven't gotten into a car accident yet. If you're a family law attorney, maybe they haven't been served papers yet. Whatever it is, it's unaware or no problem. Now, once they become aware of the problem or a problem presents itself, then they go into the research phase. Now, the research phase is where they are doing all of those research keywords like, should I go to the doctor after a car accident? Or how do I get my car repaired? Or how do I fix back pain? Like all of these different research questions that people have that they're doing the research, but they're not yet ready for a lawyer, right? After the research phase, what happens is then they go into vendor selection. Vendor selection. This is where they are actively looking for a lawyer. This is where they're going to Google and they're typing in personal injury lawyer near me or criminal defense lawyer near me or whatever your keyword is, right? Now, this right here, let me change this color here. This right here is very expensive, right? Because these are those buyer intent keywords, right? So, personal injury lawyer near me, Baltimore personal injury lawyer, Houston criminal defense attorney, these are expensive keywords, right? It's because this is right here, the vendor selection stage. This is where everybody is targeting. This is where 97% of lawyers are targeting. But there's a very interesting statistic, right? The statistic is that in any given market, only 3% of the people that are eligible to be sold are actually looking to make a purchase right now or looking to make a hire right now, right? So what that means is that at any given time, only 3% of people are in this vendor selection stage. And that is why it is so expensive, because you've got all the attorneys that are targeting this 3% of a market. So what happens? They go to PPC and the cost per click goes up and up and up and up, and they have to spend TV ads and they got to spend all this money, right? That's why it's so expensive. But what does that also mean? That means that 97% of the people that could hire you are in this phase right here. They're in the research phase, right? And what's cool about this is that research keywords are super cheap. Let me show you, research keywords, instead of paying, $100 CPC, you could probably get $1 or $2 for some of these keywords that are just questions about, how do you solve their problems, right? Now, here's where this gets really, really interesting. So if you look at this, the last stage is the hire stage. Once they make vendor selection and then they hire. Now, here is what's really cool about this. They did a study, I believe it was Forrester that did a study. They found that the people that are in this research phase, 95% of them prefer to hire the company that helped them perform the research, right? So if you attract them here, you can actually bypass vendor selection altogether and go for the hire, right? So this right here is, and I would say this right here is the biggest mistake that a lot of law firms make. They target people at the vendor selection stage when they should be targeting them at the research stage or even the unaware no problem stage, if that's something that they can do, right? So might be a longer answer than what you were looking for, but this is the secret right here to getting, cheap leads, but high quality leads at the same time and just skyrocketing a law firm or any business really.
I love that your number one answer is that you're spending too much money in one of the wrong phases where it's the most competition. And I know from personal experience that when you talk about this sort of thing, what's really cool about the strategy that you've just presented is that you've given yourself a new, unique opportunity, right, to begin the journey with a potential customer from the point of like this awareness stage, right? Like they have a problem that they're trying to address.
Yeah.
Let's educate them, right? And so the keywords are really, really cheap. And what you can do is you can set up these like retargeting and remarketing campaigns to follow people and continue to educate them and continue being part of their education as they get to the point where they're looking for a vendor, right? So
yeah,
with the information that you just presented, right, what are some of the strategies that you recommend that lawyers can implement when they switch this mindset and start addressing like the bigger portion of people who are looking just for education to begin with?
Yeah, I mean, really, well, what it comes down to is you have to know your client, right? So you just have to think about and you can start by just thinking like, what are the 5 or 10 questions that every single lawyer comes into my office that I'm sick of answering? Like, what are they, right? Because, sorry, not every lawyer that comes to my office, every client or lead that comes into my office, what are the questions that you answer over and over and over and over again that you're just sick of answering, and turn them into videos? I mean, look, everybody has one of these things in their, I'm getting a phone call. Perfect timing.
Yeah, that was cool.
Everybody has a phone in their pocket, right? Pull out a video, record the video. And what it is if you record videos that actually help people solve problems. And like one of my favorite marketers out there is a guy named Frank Kern. And he says, prove you can help people by actually helping them, right? That's truthfully, that's all I do. I've got 1,300 videos on YouTube. Now, when you hear the number 1,300, it's taken me 5 years to build up 1,300. I started with 1 video and then I had 2 videos and I had 3, you know what I mean? So you just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. But the cool part about this is that when you go for this research phase, you create the ads and you can, they run on autopilot, like everything runs on autopilot, and you do work one time. I have videos that I recorded in 2017 that are still making me money today. And it's all just because I'm targeting the research phase. I'm not like, we don't even run ads for vendor selection. We just run ads for the research phase. And then what happens is people see that we know what we're talking about. They see our client testimonials, they see our results, and then they hire us, so we bypass this vendor selection altogether.
I think it's funny because a lot of, when we talk about like doing organic marketing or SEO and all these sort of like plant a tree today so that 20 years, in the future, like the previous guest, Jason Hennessy, was just talking about, so that you could sit in the shade of a tree in 20 years.
Yeah.
The people who are invested in that, but also want the quick, like, oh, I need some ROI while I'm waiting for that stuff to happen, are really eager to do this whole like spend money on the transaction, so that they can get the quick money in. But what ends up happening is that you sort of outspend yourself on the flip side of that too. So when you're focused on doing this sort of thing, like educating the buyer, you create a steady influx of leads that are going to pay you almost in perpetuity, right? Like I know that one person doesn't come in and pay you forever. So I just want to say
Yeah,
for
well,
anyone joining,
that one video is going to continue to bring you clients over and over and over again. It's like I said, I mean, I've got stuff that, you know, continually makes me money today that's on YouTube that I don't even remember filming. You know, people will talk to me like, oh yeah, I watched that one video where you talk about that one thing. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, but cool. I'm glad I did it. You know, like, you know, you just create a lot of content on a lot of stuff.
that's funny. I like you don't even because you have 1,300 of them. I'm sure you can't.
Yeah. Oh no, I've spent. I mean, the number of hours that I've spent on camera is it's crazy. You know, I'll watch events and I'll be like, man, this guy's making some really good points. And you know, watching my videos, I'm like, ah, that stuff's pretty good. You know,
that's funny.
Yeah.
For anyone tuning in a little bit late, welcome to our law firm summer reboot camp. My name is Nick Werker. Today we're focused on legal marketing. Here with me is Andrew Stickel, the founder of Social Firestarter and one of the smartest legal marketing guys, or just marketing guys that I've ever met in my life. But
thank you, appreciate that,
dude. I follow you, so it's an honor. It's awesome to continue working with people like you because you inspire me to keep up to date with what I should be doing. And in that way I can provide more value to like my audience and my customers. So it's kind of stealing, but it's cool because you told me that stealing was
inspiration.
Fun.
Inspiration.
Yeah. All right, I'll take it. So I want to talk much like Google, social media is always evolving. And I'm curious your opinion, like which social media platforms have like the best client opportunities for law firms? And selfishly, as an add-on to this question, I want to ask you, do you believe that law firms should be dedicating time on TikTok? Because I remember a few years ago when people were like pounding on the table, like lawyers should be on Snapchat. And I said that was, the answer is always, it depends, but I just think it's foolish sometimes for a lawyer to be on Snapchat when you could spend time elsewhere and get better results. So what's your opinion on this?
Well, I think the answer is you have to go where your clients are. So like if you're trying to figure out, should I spend time on TikTok? Should I focus on Instagram? Should I focus on Facebook? Should I go to YouTube? Or where should I focus my efforts for my marketing for my law firm? You need to think like, where are your clients? You know, like if you're trying to catch, I'm not a fisherman, so like I'm assuming that marlin live out in the ocean, right? So if you're trying to catch marlins and you're sitting on a lake, you're probably not going to catch any, you know? So to your point, Snapchat is really dominated by young kids, and TikTok, if you remember, TikTok started as something called Musical.ly, and Musical.ly was all little kids. I remember when my daughter, she's 16 now, but I think she must've been 9 or 10 when she started using Musical.ly, and it was all kids. It was all her friends, but then it turned into TikTok. And now lawyers are crushing it on TikTok. Like TikTok is still there's a concept, the first mover advantage, right? Where the people that get into things first, they're the ones that reap the biggest rewards. It's like people that bought domain names back in the late 90s. You know, can you imagine back then you could buy personalinjurylawyer.com for $10, you know, like imagine if you bought that and you own that today still in 2022, you know what I mean? So first mover advantage is a huge thing. So that's why it's not a bad idea when new platforms are coming out to start doing some things on those platforms, because you never know where it's going to evolve to, right? But like right now, what I would say is the best places that I'm seeing our clients just absolutely crush it. First of all, Facebook is still working. But if you do TikTok, Shorts, and YouTube Reels, so TikTok videos, and then you can repurpose those videos for Instagram Reels, and you can also repurpose them for YouTube Shorts. The reason that that's working so well right now is because the platforms are prioritizing those parts of the platform, right? So YouTube and Instagram are really trying to take on TikTok because TikTok is taking all of their users. So when you create content using Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts, YouTube is going to reward you by giving you free traffic, right? And then Instagram or TikTok, like we have clients who are just getting on TikTok, solving problems and getting clients. Like it's pretty nuts right now. So anyone that's really thinking about, should I use TikTok? What should I use? The first question is, where are your clients, right? Where do your clients actually live? Now, if your client, like if you're a family law attorney, if you're a criminal defense attorney, if you're a personal injury attorney, like any of those are fantastic for TikTok, because like I know there's like I'm on TikTok all the time now. It's kind of like it's addictive. I'm on there more than I should be. My wife is constantly on TikTok. I know there's so many people that are in their 30s and 40s. It's not just kids, right? And that are in the 30s and the 40s that are on TikTok. So it's a great place to go. Now, if you're trying to do like estate planning and you're targeting baby boomers, TikTok might not be the best place for you. That's probably going to be Facebook, So first of all, it's knowing your audience. And then two, it's just understanding that what is each platform trying to get, right? Because at the end of the day, there's that saying, I don't remember who it was, I guess it was Zig Ziglar, who said, you'll get everything you want if you help enough people get everything that they want, right? And that's one of the philosophies that I really, that's kind of like my foundation of everything that I do, right? If I help enough people get what they want, then I'm going to get everything I want. And the way that I do that is by putting out free content and helping lawyers get what they want, which is more clients, more leads, more freedom, right? So how can we look at that in this context? Well, what does Instagram want? What does Facebook want? They want content that people are actually going to watch, because then people spend more time on the platform, they click on more ads, and they make more money, right? So if you just think about what does TikTok want, what does Instagram want, what does Facebook want, what does YouTube want, then you can kind of look at it from that angle and say, okay, they want to push TikTok, or they want to push shorts, and they want to push reels. So let's create content in that, give them what they want, and then they're going to give me what I want, which is free traffic. And then the other thing, I talked to Gary Vee recently, and the other thing he was saying, I haven't seen this, but he was saying that lawyers right now are doing really, really well with long form posts on LinkedIn as well. So that's one I haven't heard. That was something Gary Vee told me. But long form posts on LinkedIn is another thing to try.
I like the concept of giving the platform what it wants, right? Like what's performing well on a platform and giving it what it wants. Because I did a podcast with this guy recently who was like, if you want to rank better on Google, you should post more on the things Google is pushing. Like right now, Google Posts is big. They want you to post on Google. Google Business Profile. They want you to update all the stuff in Google Business Profile. Yeah. What was the other thing LSAs? Why would Google not push this new sort of like Google guaranteed program that they want to jumpstart and get people involved in, right? So like, it makes sense to sort of feed the machine in that way. And I was looking through your podcast, the Law Firm Marketing Hacks podcast, which of course will be linked in the description and in the chat, and everybody should go check it out. But one recent episode, the title stood out to me as interesting, because I love stuff like this, is Law Firm SEO is dead. Can you confirm today that you believe law firm SEO is actually dead, and like in a traditional sense, and what you sort of mean by that?
Sure. Okay. So that's a little bit of my marketing play also, but here's what I mean by that, right? Actually, I'm going to tell you a story. We had a client who is now retired, but he was a DUI attorney in Orange County, California. Now in Google, let me draw this out. He was ranking #1 organically for every potential keyword that you could ever wish to rank for DUI. So he was, Orange County DUI attorney near me, DUI lawyer, all those keywords, right? In Orange County, California. Now he was ranking in both the maps and also organically. So I want to draw this out for anyone that doesn't know what the difference is. So this is Google, right? You got the search bar at the top here, and then you have the LSAs, right? You got the LSAs here. And then you typically have a couple ads right here. So add, and then you have a map pack with listings in it, right? So here's the map. And then you have more listings down here, right? So now these right here, this is the 3-pack. And then these listings under the 3-pack, this is organic. All right, so now that we're all on the same page, he was #1 organic. So he was #1 right here. And he was also #1 in the maps, right? Now he was crushing it. He was getting like 50 leads a week, like qualified leads a week for DUI. So, I mean, you can imagine how much money this guy was making. So he's in Orange County, California, and it's pretty tight competition out there. So what happened was another law firm called and reported that his listing was fake on Google Maps, right? So immediately what happened is Google suspended his listing. So what happened was this listing right here went away, but this listing right here was still there, right? So he's out of the 3-pack, but he's still ranking organically. Overnight, calls just stopped, right? I mean, it was like somebody just flipped the switch, turned off the light switch, calls just completely shut off, right? So, and he was ranking, I mean, number one organically for Orange County DUI attorney. Yeah, I mean, everything you could dream of, right? So we called Google, we got on the phone with them. We're like, look, it's a real office. We had to go through all these hoops. We had to jump through all these hoops and everything, but we got his listing reinstated. The second it got reinstated, just like that, phone calls started coming in again, right? So what I have been preaching for the last several years, ever since this happened, and we've seen things like this happen multiple times where people are not in the maps and they're organically ranking well, but they're not getting clients. So what we focus on as a law firm is we focus on maps, right? We focus on getting you in the maps because we've already proven this doesn't matter right here, right? Like a lot of law firm SEO companies will tell you, oh yeah, we got your number. They show you all these superficial rankings. And a lot of times, I talk to lawyers all the time. They're like, well, we're ranking. I'm like, but why don't the phone logs match the rankings, right? It's because you're not ranking for the right stuff and you're not ranking in the right place. If you want to grow your law firm through organic, it's the maps. The maps are where the phone calls come from. So that's what I mean by SEO is dead in the traditional sense. We still do SEO. We still do all that stuff, but if you want that explosive growth, maps is what you need to focus on. And that's why we primarily focus on maps SEO for our clients. And then everything else is secondary, because at the end of the day, just like you guys, just like lawyers, our clients hire us for a result. They hire us because they want clients. And if we can't make their phone ring with people that are actually looking to hire them, then they're going to fire us, right? Just like if lawyers can't get a result that their clients looking for, they're going to fire them. So we found the easiest way and the most efficient way and the most long lasting way to get that result is to stop focusing on the organic SEO, stop focusing on all this long tail stuff down here and focus on maps.
This is why I love talking to you so much, is because you have such a diversified approach to all of law firm marketing. And it's impressive because you're really not even like specialized that much, right? Like you'll talk to certain agencies that all they do is law firm SEO, and certain agencies, all they do is PPC, all they do is social, all they do is this. And what I hear when I hear that story is that it's important to have a diversified approach when it comes to marketing your law firm, right? So like you can't live and die just by the Google Maps. You can't live and die just by Facebook ads. You can't live and die just by long tail LinkedIn posts, right? And I want to talk about Google because, and all of these things evolve so heavily, really year over year, right? Maybe quarter over quarter, but really year over year. And Google's evolved so much just in the first half of this year. So I want to talk about what are some of the key changes and updates that our audience needs to not only be aware of, but what should they be putting more of a focus on when they develop their upcoming marketing plans?
So the number one thing that lawyers need to focus on is social proof. That's the, reviews, right? And I mean, look, I wrote a book on this. Did I send you a copy of this book, Firestarter Attorney?
No, I have your other book.
Okay, cool. I mean, I believe in reviews so much that I wrote an entire book on it, right? So, but here's why, right? So reviews are incredibly important for growing your law firm. Now, in terms of a Google context, right? Let's forget about the social proof and people actually believing that you can help them and all that type of stuff, right? Google recently, and especially, in terms of ranking in the maps, they had a little bit of a shift, right? It used to be that you could name your business best San Diego personal injury lawyer. And if someone searched San Diego personal injury lawyer, you'd show up number one, right? Well, the reason why is because there's three factors that determine, are you going to rank well in the Google Maps, right? And this is what Google uses. The first one is proximity to the searcher. How far away are you, or how close are you to the person who's searching, right? The second is prominence. How prominent is your law firm out there? That's why a lot of times marketing companies will tell you you need to build your citations and you need to set up your business listings and get backlinks and all that type of stuff, right? Now, the third thing is relevance. How relevant are you to what the person is actually searching for, right? So the way that Google used to pull relevancy, a lot of relevancy was from the name of the business itself, which is really, really dumb. I don't know why it took them so long to fix this, but That's why a business that wasn't even a real business could just change their name to Los Angeles criminal defense lawyer and rank number one, right? So they fixed that. That doesn't really happen anymore. I'm not saying it doesn't ever happen, but it's much, much more difficult. So what they do now is they look at reviews for relevancy, right? They use reviews to determine relevancy. Now, some people may have noticed, and maybe somebody can type me in the chat if this has ever happened to you, where a client has left you a review, but it doesn't post, right? The reason that happens is because Google is being they're scrutinizing much more heavily the actual reviews that they put through, because marketers ruin everything. As soon as you figure out that reviews are the thing that's going to make rankings go up, marketers are going to go out and start buying fake reviews and doing all this crap, right? So Google has to be much more critical over the reviews that get through, right? Now, here's the cool thing. If you can get reviews that have words, phrases, keywords, and synonyms that are related to your law firm and your practice area, then you will increase your relevancy much, much faster. So, for example, what you can do is you can actually, when someone leaves your review, send them some questions to answer, right? So you can send them an email or a text message that says, hey, we really appreciate your review. We have found that a lot of times people want to leave a review, but they don't know exactly what to say. So we found that the best reviews typically answer the following 5 questions. So these are the questions. What was the problem that you had before you came to our law firm? Second question is, why did you pick our firm over all the other law firms out there? Third question is, what did we do for you? Fourth question is, what were the results? And fifth question is, how did these results impact your life, right? Now, if you send those questions and people answer those questions, what's going to happen is they're actually going to tell a story. It's not going to be one of those reviews that's like, Bill did a great job, thanks. They're going to say, well, before I came to the law firm, I called them because I got rear-ended by a Ford F-150 when I was driving down the road, and my insurance company wouldn't cover it. So then I hired them because I talked to them. They were very knowledgeable. They answered all my questions, and they'll go through the entire story. What's going to happen is that's just naturally going to get all those words, phrases, keywords, synonyms in there, which is going to boost your relevancy, which is going to make you rank higher. Now, another thing is frequency of reviews is very important. You can't just get 2 reviews, or you can't just get a certain number of reviews and then stop. You've got to continue getting reviews basically forever, right? I know that sucks, and I know nobody wants to hear that, but unfortunately, I didn't make the rules. I'm just the messenger, right? That's what Google wants. They want law firms or businesses that are continually getting reviews, right? So that's really, really important. Now, the other thing that we found is that when you're in the Google 3-pack, if you have at least 4 stars, you have at least 4.5 stars, which most lawyers have at least 4.5 stars. The thing that determines when you get a phone call is who has the highest number of reviews. So if this is the 3-pack right here, and then you got listing number 1 with, changes. You got listing number 1 here with 10 reviews, and then you got this one with 27 and this one with 54. This is the one that's going to get the phone call. It doesn't matter that they're third. What we have found is that quantity is the way that people sort, right? Quantity is the way that people sort, because if they knew who you were, they would just Google your name, right? But they don't know who you are. So what they do is they search for something, and they have a list of 3 law firms that they have no clue who they are. So they say, okay, well, I guess they all look the same. So, this one has more reviews, so I'm going to call them, right? So if you can focus on getting in the 3-pack and then getting the highest number of reviews in the 3-pack, then you are absolutely going to dominate, right? So, and there's so many more reasons that reviews and social proof are important. I'm going to give a plug, my book, 5-Star Attorney, if you want to hear about it. But reviews, I think, are the number one thing that lawyers should be focusing on.
I think I said this before, but I'm going to be including a link to both Andy's books, the website, all of the material, the podcast where you can see Andy. Anthony Solare wants to know if you could repeat the 5 questions in the review really quick. But
yeah, Anthony, pull out your phone, turn the camera on, and just record this real quick. I'm going to give you 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. 5 questions are, what was the problem you had before you contacted our firm? Why did you hire our firm? Third question is, what did we do for you? Fourth question is, what were the results? And the fifth question is, how did these results impact your life? Now, one thing I want to point out is questions 4 and 5 sound the same, but they're different, right? 4 is the external thing. What was the thing that I got? I got a settlement. I got custody of my kids. I got, the charges dropped. Those are very generic things. How did this impact your life is very important. It's very different. As a result of this settlement, I'm now able to get my health back, get back to work, and now I can take care of my family again. I can start providing for my family again. As a result of now having custody of my kids, now I can finally coach Little League and I can be the father that I didn't have growing up. It's two different things. You know what I mean? And the thing is that the internal thing is always the reason people will hire you. It's never the external thing. It's always the internal thing.
I agree. People hire you based on emotion and then they justify it with logic, right? So people hear like, oh, I can become the father that I never had and I have the opportunity. And then they go backward and they say, oh, but he helped me get this, and this. So it's important always to connect with the human element. People say, like everybody just wants results, but it's not always the case. They want to connect with a human being. So I think including that is extremely important. And we talk a lot about marketing, but one of the things that I know that's like almost, I don't want to say a niche, but like a super important thing that you guys do is you focus a lot on lead capturing. So what are some of the things that law firms can do to ensure that like they're getting the leads coming in, but what can they do to actually convert those leads into paying customers?
Yeah. Well, so to actually convert them into paying customers, the first thing you have to understand is that so again, only 3% of any given market is actually ready to hire you, right? So what you really need to focus on is you need to focus on that 97%. Now, there's a couple ways you can do that. Actually, let me draw this out. There's when you understand kind of how traffic works, because at the end of the day, it's all about traffic. Traffic meaning who is sending awareness to your law firm, whether that's Google, whether that's Google Ads, whether that's Facebook, whether that's referrals, whatever it is, right? There's 3 types of traffic, right? And the first type of traffic is traffic you control. So traffic you control is stuff like Google ads, Facebook ads, any sort of paid advertising, right? Because you control it. You can turn it on or you can turn it off. If you run PPC ads, you're going to get a lot of traffic going to your landing page until you stop the ads or your credit card gets declined or whatever it is. And then the traffic cuts off, right? So there's other traffic that is traffic that you don't control. Traffic you don't control is like referrals. It's search engine optimization to an extent. I mean, you can influence search engine optimization, but you don't control Google. No one can control ranking on the first page of Google, right? So there's traffic that you control and traffic that you don't control. Now, your goal at all times should always be to convert the traffic that you control and the traffic that you don't control into traffic that you own. That is the goal. And that is our goal every single time, is always to take the traffic we control, the traffic we don't control, and the traffic that we own, or to turn it into traffic that we own. Now, the reason why is because if I have your email, if I have your SMS, if I have your phone number, if I have your address, I can contact you as many times as I want without having to pay for it, right? If I'm doing traffic I control, that's great. I can reach you over and over and over again, except for the fact that I have to pay for it every single time I get in touch with you, right? Traffic that I don't control is even worse because I can't even contact you if I want to because I don't control it, right? So when you have traffic that you own, you can email them every single day. You can send them a text message every single day. Now, this has to be done within your strategy, of course. You can send them a physical letter. You can send packages to their house. You can do all these things, right? And it doesn't cost you anything other than whatever your email provider charges or other than whatever your text message service charges, right? So this is very, very valuable because Forrester did a study and they found that the average person that hires a law firm does so after the 5th touch of the brand, 5th touch. So I think it was 56% of people. It was either 56 or 82%. I can't remember. There's 2 statistics. Let's say it's 56%, right? Even if it's 56%, which is the lower of the 2 numbers, that means that, they came in contact with the law firm 5 times before they actually hired them, right? So you have to ask yourself, do people even have an opportunity to come in contact with you 5 times, right? For most law firms, the answer is no, right? If you're not following up, the answer is no. So a perfect example of that is a lot of times what happens is people will go to Google and they'll type, you know, personal injury attorney near me, right? And an ad shows up. So then they click on the ad, takes them to a landing page. And then for some reason, the person leaves and they don't call, right? This actually happens the majority of the time because in marketing, there's a phrase in marketing, most people won't. Most people won't click on your ad. Most people won't connect with your landing page. Most people won't call you. You know what I mean? Like most people won't, because if most people did, then that means we'd have conversion rates of 51% and we'd be the best marketers ever, right? So you have to understand that there's a lot of people that are going to click on your ad, which is costing you money, and they're going to land on your landing page, and then they're going to leave without ever doing anything. Now, they leave for all kinds of reasons. It might not be that they don't want to hire you. It might be that they are at the grocery store standing in line, and all of a sudden, you know, all of a sudden they're up next. You know, it might be that they're sitting in the dentist's office and they just can't pick up the phone and make a phone call, but they're still doing the research, right? So the problem is that if you're not doing something to capture them, then they're gone and they're never going to find you again, right? So if you can focus on creating content that allows you to follow up with them over and over and over again and focus on creating traffic that you own, what you could do is you could actually take what's called a pixel, and then you could use that to continue to run Facebook remarketing ads and Google ads. And these could be research-based ads, right? So, you know, if they clicked here and this is all about car accidents, then you can start running them ads on Facebook and Google about the biggest problems that people who have gotten into car accidents have, right? And you keep doing that. And then maybe what you can do is your Facebook ad then takes them to a download. So, you know, it's, you know, Facebook ad, 4 ways insurance companies will try to screw you over and what to say in every scenario when they call, right? Give us your email address. We'll send you the document right to your inbox, right? Now you've got their email address, and now you can email them over and over and over again, right? So what it comes down to is that when you can take the traffic that you own, that's how you get really affordable leads. Because first of all, follow-up is huge. 56% of people buy after the 5th touch. 97% of people are not ready to hire you yet, even though eventually they do need a lawyer, right? So the only way to do this is to follow up. The cheapest and most effective, and really the only way to actually follow up consistently and accurately, is to get their information and send them emails and messages and things like that. So that's one of the best ways that you can actually ensure that your leads that you're getting are turning into clients. Now, another thing, and I touched on this a little briefly earlier, one of the biggest problems that I see is lawyers putting the wrong messaging out there, right? So there's this thing that I call the airplane test. And most lawyers, and you guys can think about if your messaging passes or fails the airplane test, right? Most lawyers' messaging fails the airplane test. So where the airplane test comes from is a couple of years ago, actually, a couple of years ago, my wife and I went to Cancun for our anniversary. We actually just got back like 2 weeks ago because we go there every year now. But the first time we went, I was really nervous about booking everything myself because I don't speak the language. I don't want to go somewhere crappy. I wanted to make sure we're going on a vacation. I want somebody to book this for me. So I called a travel agent and I kind of told him what we're looking for. I told him, you know, what our budget was, all that stuff. So she's like, okay, give me a couple of days. And I'll put something together. So a couple of days go by. She calls me. She's like, all right, I got a PowerPoint presentation. Let's hop on a Zoom call. I'm going to show you exactly where you guys are going to go on vacation, right? So she put together this amazing presentation. It was showing how like our room has a butler. Like we have a butler in our room, and we have our own private pool, like our own plunge pool. And it's all you can eat. It's all you can drink. 5-star restaurants everywhere. It's adults only. We have 3 kids. So an adults only vacation is pretty spectacular. It's right on the beach. You walk out to the beach and, you know, they have these things called palapas, which are basically like little tiki huts, and you get your own chair underneath them and everything. You just sit out there and read all day. And they have a guy that comes around and brings you food and brings you drinks on the beach. It's absolutely amazing, right? But there's one thing that they didn't tell us about, this travel agent, while she's telling us about all this amazing stuff on this trip. Can you guess? Can anybody guess in the chat what's the one thing that she didn't tell us about? And Joe, do you, or sorry, Nick, do you know what the one thing is? You have a
Anthony
guess?
says how to get there.
How to get there. Airplane. Okay, cool. All right. So Joe nailed it. She didn't tell us about the airplane ride, right? She didn't tell us about, getting to the airport 3 hours early for international travel and then going through TSA and checking our bags and having to take the train from the terminal to the other terminal and standing there, and now our flight's delayed. And now we got to sit on the plane for 2 hours, and we got to go through customs. We got to fill out a little tiny form with, that, and then you have to wait and figure out where your carousel is. And then you got to find the transportation to get you. Like, she didn't tell us about any of that crap. The only thing she told us about was the resort, right? Because the resort is what everybody wants. Nobody wants the plane ride. Like, do you like flying, Nick? I freaking hate flying.
I hate flying so much.
I hate it so much. I'm not afraid of it. I just hate the entire process, right? Nobody wants the resort, or sorry, nobody wants the airplane. They want the resort. So what you have to ask yourself is, are you selling the airplane of your industry? For example, if you are, let's say, an estate planning attorney, right? If you're an estate planning attorney, are you selling the estate plan, or are you selling the peace of mind that they are going to have, knowing that should anything ever happen to them, their money, their assets, and all their stuff, including their kids and their family and their pets and everything's going to be taken care of, and you don't have to worry about it. Nobody's going to have to lift a finger. It's all taken care of. Right? Or are you saying, well, you need an estate plan, and here's the type of estate plan you need, and here's the document? Like, nobody cares. They don't care about any of that crap, right? If you're a bankruptcy lawyer, nobody cares about the bankruptcy. Nobody wants a bankruptcy, but they want freedom from their debt. They want the bill collectors to stop calling. They want all that stuff. If you're a personal injury attorney, most people are not litigious. Most people don't want to sue somebody, right? Most people just want to get their health back, and they want to get compensated for missing work, and they want to get their medical bills paid, and they want to get their health back so that they can, feel like the man of the house again, because they were always the breadwinner, and now they're injured and they can't work, and they just want, they don't want to sue somebody. They don't want to go to mediation and do all that stuff. So if you sell the resort, if you sell the result, then your leads will flock to you because you're the only one doing it. Everybody else is talking about the process, and they're talking about the airplane ride. Sell the resort, and you'll get way more clients.
Andy, for anybody who's listening to this and isn't, for anybody who's practical enough to understand that the things that you're talking about are genius and could be applied to their everyday life, and they want to hear more from you and get involved with everything that it is that you do, where should they go?
So we're giving away, we actually just started doing this, and this is all my prove I can help you by actually helping you. We created something called the Lawyer Marketing Vault. And I think you guys, I think Joseph has the link there. It's lawyermarketingvault.com. And what that is that's 15 complete courses that I've put together. It's about intake, how to get your law firm featured on the news, how to rank yourself in the Google Maps step by step, how to do social media, how to do Facebook. Like, it's 15 courses that I've actually sold every year for a lot of money that we're just giving away for free now, right? So if you go there, it's lawyermarketingvault.com, then you can grab access to that. We're probably going to do it for about another 30 days. It's just something we're testing out right now. So if you go there, opt in, you can get access to 15 of my courses completely free. The other thing is I've got 2 books. Both of these are available on Amazon. There's 5-Star Attorney, and then how to get more law firm clients. Both of these books are Amazon bestsellers, and I'm proud of both of them. And I've had tons of success stories from people that have gone through, read those books, and made lots and lots and lots of money. So that's where I would start. And if anybody has any questions, hey, just send me an email, andy@smbteam.com.
I have I have the how to get more law firm clients on my bookcase at home, and you sent it to me for free. So I'm going to pay for the other one. I'm going to read the other one.
Oh, perfect.
The 5-Star
Awesome.
Lawyer. But Andy, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you making time for me. It's always great to work with you.